Welcome to 8-Bit Basic. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but this is my 500 subscribers special. I honestly cannot thank you all enough out there in YouTube land. It's an absolute testament to the retro computing community out there. Thank you again, everybody. 500 subscribers just looking at basic and retro computers. Stick around to find out, does my Facebook Marketplace Commodore 64 actually work? And I've also received another special parcel that I'm going to be unboxing later in the video. I think it's something that's going to be very useful as the channel keeps going. Let's go. Viewers of the channel will know that I've been using the Commodore 64 Maxi, but when this popped up on my Facebook Marketplace feed, it definitely caught my attention. A very nice Commodore 64C, but sold without any peripherals, no power, no controllers, absolutely nothing, no cables, and completely untested. Listed for $100, I offered the very nice gentleman $75 as it was untested and had none of the peripherals, and he very kindly accepted my offer. For my American viewers, that's about $50 US, and for my UK lovelies, that's about 37 British pounds. And if I didn't mention your currency, please let me know in the comments, and I definitely will next time. This purchase was definitely a risk, but now, how can I test it? I don't have any original Commodore 64 hardware or peripherals myself. I did come up with a solution, but first, you're going to need some context. This is the home that I grew up in. This is our next door neighbour's house, and the very next house is the home of my childhood best friend. It's at his house that I played my first gaming console, the Atari 2600, and I also played on my first computer, which you guessed it, was the Commodore 64. So here is where my love of computing first began. Now, luckily, my friend's mum and his brother Ryan still live in the same house, and Ryan has kept all of their technology and he is still into tech and retro tech in a big way. So I knew that he already had new power supplies and all the tools that I would need to test my computer. Let's see what happened. This is the morning of the big testing, but before I took the computer to Ryan's place, I wanted to open it up, give it a quick cursory clean on the inside, and just have a quick look over the machine. This is what I found. The expansion port and pins there look in good condition, but as you can see, there is heaps of dust. Same with our cassette port and our user port. We have plenty of crud that's built up over the almost 40 years this machine has been on the planet. Yeah, you can see there's definitely a bit of cleaning that needs to be done. I forgot to show you the side, but here is a still image from later in the video. Here is the serial number of our quality computer made in Hong Kong. This is my first time opening a Commodore 64. I wish all computers were this easy. Now, opening the case, I was not very sure, so I was being as careful as I could. I found that the best method was putting a little bit of sideways pressure to release the tabs on the inside and then gently lift. Now, I had to stop the video and actually look up how to do this, but I forgot to press record when I got the case open. Sorry. And this is what's inside. Here's what we're working with. You can see we have a nicely rusted RF shield, but it is the full metal RF shield. Hopefully things are not that bad. It's just very, very dusty. Just what you've been waiting for. Here is a really nice cleaning montage. Look at all those dust bunnies flying around. Next, I wanted to have a look under the keyboard. Really easy to remove. It's only 2 screws. Everything looks great under here. Just some more dust. I put the keyboard back on, and now it is time to start tackling all of the ports. After watching hours and hours of other YouTube videos, I thought I would do what the experts do. So I started with some isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip. I also used some contact cleaner and some magic eraser. I also flipped the machine over to have a look at the undersides as well to try and get as much of the gunk off as I could. To get into the sockets, I used contact cleaner and the trusty old toothbrush. All that was left was the joystick ports, the power switch, and the power socket. So now that I've just given everything a super quick clean, the Commodore 64 is ready for its journey to Ryan's house. Ryan was all set up for me, so he's inserting a dead test cartridge, the power cable from his modern power supply, and lastly, the video cable. This is our moment of truth. The very first power on, what happens? Waiting. We have something. There it is. Our dead test cartridge is running. Our Commodore 64 powers on. The dead test cartridge is running its magic. Essentially, it's checking the RAM, the video chip, and the system's core functions by running a set of built-in diagnostics. If everything's good, we'll see a series of on-screen codes just confirming that this C64 is alive and very well. Here comes the SID chip. It boots into BASIC and the keyboard is functioning really well. Time to run a super quick BASIC program. Again, can we fill the screen with hellos? Here we go. Yes, we can. BASIC running in all of its shades of blue.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
To test the joystick ports, here is Impossible Mission. That famous line you heard at the start really made the game feel futuristic back in 1984. Impossible Mission isn't just a platformer, it's a blend of action and logic puzzles, where exploring rooms and piecing together the clues is just as important as your precise jumping. Interestingly, you're completely unarmed, there's no shooting whatsoever, your success depends on timing, planning, and avoiding those deadly robots. And to keep things fresh, the room layout and puzzle pieces are randomized every time you play, making each run feel like a brand new mission. The last thing we did was remove the RF shield just to see how things look underneath. Just like the rest of the C64, it's a bit dirty, but it's not too bad. This is revision 3 of the shortboard. It was a more compact design that Commodore introduced to cut costs. It uses a fewer chips and it's a bit more power efficient than earlier versions. It is known for having a more reliable power circuit, which is always nice when you're dealing with old hardware like this. And finally, a quick clean on top of the SID chip so we can see which one it is. It's the MOS 8580R5 SID chip, which is the later version which was used in these shortboard models. Where to now for this computer? Well, now that I know it's working, I'm going to be giving it a thorough clean. Plus, I've also made some eBay purchases. This new power supply from Electroware Shop is going to come all the way from Poland. A Pi 15410, so that's a 1541 drive emulator, plus it also has the Epix fast loader cartridge built into it. That one's coming from right here in Australia from BJ Tate 1. And lastly, I needed to get myself a video cable, and that's coming from the colourful Retro Computer Shack store in the UK. Thank you for coming on the journey that this little Commodore has taken so far. Great to know that it's all working. I'll give it all a really good clean while I wait for everything to be delivered. And hopefully soon this will be appearing on the channel as one of my main Commodores. Now before you go, I did promise an unboxing from a special delivery. So let's get to that. And here it is. It's come all the way from the United Kingdom. I wonder if the size is a giveaway for any of you. Let's get it open. Do you open the sides or do you open across first? Let me know in the comments. It shouldn't be this hard, should it? Oof, all the suspense. Okay, here we go. Right across the top. Place your bets. What do you think it's going to be? Here we go. Oh, it's still paper. Oh, there's a little. Does that give anything away? The Spectrum personal computer. After my experiences on typing with the emulator and the PC keyboard, that was hard enough. I am really looking forward to actually sitting down and getting used to where all the keys are on the Spectrum. HDMI ready, so I'll be able to capture some great video for the channel. So here it is, my new little Spectrum, ready for me to start entering in some more BASIC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon for some more 8-Bit Basic.